Thank you.
No problem. And well spotted. Yeah, so in terms of customer service, you have case management, which comes under customer service. You also have something additional, which is called omni-channel. So in here, one thing I try to advise people, omni-channel as a starting point, it can be very complex, but it comes under customer service. So you won't really go to a project where they use omni-channel case management at the same time. It's rare to find that. In some cases, yeah, it does happen, but they do not expect you to understand all of it. The only positive thing with omni-channel is if you pick up the skill, you are very high in demand because not many people understand it. It's something new which came up in the last year or so. So not many people understand it either. But if you happen to be very keen and you pick it up, please do not ask me questions on omni-channel. I don't get it myself. You can make money. So that's all I can say with omni-channel. So many people are looking for it. What does omni-channel do? Omni-channel itself is mainly used in contact centers. So what then happens is you go on a company website, you fill in the form, you can have that little pop-up which pops up on the side on your website, and you start interacting with that as a user. And at some point, you might say, I need to speak to an agent. You can click speak to an agent, and then it routes that request into Dynamics. The first thing it does, if your contact does not exist in Dynamics, that's why they ask you for your name and email address when you want to speak to an agent. It then looks in Dynamics. It takes a minute or two to allow the agent to read the notes on your record if there is anything. And then all of a sudden, you start seeing, okay, agent is typing. It's because they're also typing, they have a pop-up, in the pop-up also appear here in Dynamics at the right-hand side here. And you start speaking. At some point, the conversation can be a successful one. You finish your conversation there. That's the end of it, great. In some cases, you might say, you know what, forget it. I'm not gonna type anything on the website here. I'm going to make a phone call to the company. So normally you have your customer service team, you have your sales team, you have the complaints team too. So in some cases, you go through the customer service team. What then happens, you make that phone call, the phone call rings in here. The call center agent will have either a headset, they will answer it, they're answering the phone call here in Dynamics. Even though yourself you have made a call to a phone number, it picks it up in here. What's important to understand here with omni-channel, it also picks up your number if it exists in their system. That's why sometimes they'll answer the phone and they say good afternoon, so and so and so, because they have your name pop up already. In some cases, you get queued up in a queue. You are number 5 in the queue. The wait time is about 30 minutes. This system is working in most cases from omni-channel. What then happens at that point, you are in the queue. Before the agent starts talking to you, they can also start looking at the notes if your number exists in that system. If it doesn't, that's when they start asking you a few more questions. Can you send us this? Can you tell us a bit more about this? And then it works like that. So that's omni-channel. Contact centers, that's the main area for it. Then you have cases. So cases, as the name says, you might have a complaint, you might have an inquiry about something, you might have a question to ask, to say, you guys sell these products. If I am to buy this amount of products, how much can you sell them to me for? So this is what's important here. You can then move your case into that sales pipeline again. You're not talking about sales, right? You can basically start saying, okay, there's a case here. This person wants this. Then you pass it on to your sales team. Why it's important of what I'm explaining here, if you happen to go to an interview and they say, for example, they talk about cases, they talk about omni-channel, you can simply talk about it and just tell them, yeah, I know it does this, so and so and so, but you haven't worked on it in a project. You've done it as part of your self-development. That's how you came to understand these things. So we talk about a case here. Basically, a case can be created different ways. It can be created, I would say, 3 different ways. One way, someone can come into Dynamics here and select new case. So what you see here, you have a case number, you have a subject, you have the case title, the customer. The customer can be the contact, the customer can be an account, the origin. So if you look at the origin here, this is where our case came from. So this case came from a phone call. Someone can just simply email. They can go to your website and create a case there. Facebook, Twitter, Internet of Things. So these are some of the origins your case can come from. So in this case here, you then have, for example, as a starting point, someone makes a phone call. So while the agent is on the phone call, they basically say, okay, yeah, we understand you're not happy with this. They put your details in here, the customer, if you exist. If you don't exist, they'll create a new customer record in here. But in most cases, if you're calling about their product, they have their details. They have your details in their system. And then it goes through the BPF, the same way the sales pipeline work, where you go through an opportunity pipeline. A case is also the same. So with an opportunity, it goes through that pipeline where it gets to the opportunity has been won, the opportunity has been lost. The case also go through that pipeline. You identify what the issue is. You kind of do some research if that's what the business process is for that organization. Then eventually you resolve it. When you resolve a case, when it's going through this pipeline here, there is something which is very important here: service level agreement, SLAs. That's where the company has a commitment to say, if a customer raises a case today, we need to resolve the case within 14 days. So in some cases, you raise your inquiry, it comes into Dynamics. In most cases, once it comes into Dynamics, you also get an automatic reply in most cases from a no reply email. That no reply email will tell you your case number, your case title, and then the subject of it. They'll tell you it's been received, this is your case number, any interaction you have with us, just reply to this email, or they say, just give us that case number if you make a phone call. So that's what a typical case will work like here. So from a different point, we spoke about an email. So in some cases, you have organizations using shared mailboxes. How many people are familiar with the concept of shared mailboxes?
Yes.
Yeah? Okay, perfect. So for those of you who are not familiar with a shared mailbox, it's basically one mailbox where the emails come in and a team or a group of people working in the same department have access to that mailbox. Some cases they can reply from that mailbox and they'll have their name at the bottom, or they'll just say customer service team. They won't put their name on it. So they can do that. But in our case here for Dynamics 365 case management, we're talking about you send an email to either that shared mailbox. Dynamics looks at that shared mailbox and it creates a case in here automatically. The thing here to understand, when a case is created, you could have a team which is a customer service team. You could have a complaints team. So basically, in a nutshell, you could have teams looking at inquiries coming from the phone, teams looking at inquiries coming from an email. How this would then work, you then introduce something called queues. So basically, a queue, that's where your inquiries for a specific work area go into. When it comes to queues, you only see items in a queue you have access to or you belong to. We're going to go to queues shortly after we finish here. So if you see here, you also have an additional tab here, which has some other stuff. So what you start seeing here, you start kind of seeing some SLAs here. The clock starts ticking to say this needs to be resolved by this date. You kind of start seeing some description of what the issue is. And you kind of start seeing additional details. What then happens here, what's important, if you are the business analyst or the functional consultant, is how you make your decision making when you are capturing these requirements from a stakeholder. If you go down the route of someone sending an email, Dynamics does not know what's in the body of the email. Dynamics is able to identify the subject of the email, the sender, but it does not know what is in the body of the email. So if you're complaining, if you're praising someone, Dynamics wouldn't know. The only way you can achieve that, you can make it a bit more challenging for a developer and say you want to use artificial intelligence sentiment analysis to look into the body of the email. Unfortunately, that's more of a tough solution to go with, given you also have a quicker solution which can achieve something better here. So I would recommend, again, is going the route of emails then into Dynamics, unless there's a compelling business reason why they want it. But in most cases, it's because they do not know. So this here, what you're seeing here, we are seeing columns or fields. You can simply create something. I think I overheard Daniel talking about it. You can create something called a power page. A power page, they used to call them portals before. Last year, they decided to call them power pages now. So this is for your external facing people. In terms of creating the portal, you have your portal, and what you're doing at this point, you're now putting these fields here on the portal. So when you put the fields on the portal, of course, you do not put this here. This here will be generated by the system when the user submits from a portal. Then, in terms of the name, the person can basically complete all the other fields here. This here can be excluded because it's in the system. When the user selects submits, they've put their description of the issue here. When you reply back to the person, what takes place at this point, Dynamics sends your reply to the portal. So the user logs into the portal. That's when you start seeing your replies on there. So for some of you who use government portals, sometimes they'll send you an email. When you log in, they say put in your Gov email and login number, put in your password, and they'll do some verification. Message will just appear there. In most cases, it's a portal, but they just don't call it a portal. They have their name. They just basically call it, okay, it's a UK Gov portal. That's basically what they'll call it. So what happens at this point, we spoke about queues. So in here, let's just create a case testing. And then in here, we are going to select this organization here. I'm hoping I don't have any other mandatory fields. So I just want to show you what happens when you create a case. It will create the case number. So you see this case number here. If you can see, it's saying CAC, referring to a case. This number here is also this here, especially the first one here. This is configurable in the back end. So you might say you want to make this case number, instead of saying CAC, you can basically put Blue Sky here. And then you have the case number here. This case number here, instead of you coming to search for a title, which is called a case code testing, you can also search for it at this point here. So the case number is also searchable. It's important to understand that. You can also look at any other cases which are related to this specific case. So you could have someone from this company, they've raised a case, and then you can also come in here and add a new case, which is related to this. So what that means, any cases underneath this main case here, you might have child cases which might be related to the main case here. Or you can add an existing case. There might be an existing case if you decide, okay, but this is more or less along the same line, let's add it here. Once you have resolved your case, so in this case, you have raised a case with Blue Sky, and you're asking them about the courses they train. They'll create your case in here. For the agency to help the other person who might come in to look at this case, you might add a knowledge record. So basically, how you resolved it, what kind of materials did you send back to the person who was asking this question? So that's something you're able to do here. What you see here is the priority of it. It's normal. This priority here can be prioritized to high, agent, or priority one, things like that. This created on is what also drives what we are seeing here on the SLA. So the SLA will be in here. So the reason you're not seeing any SLA is likely because we don't have anything set up for it. So it just tell you here, you need to respond by this date. If it's not flagged, then it causes you an issue. So what you're seeing at this point, we're saying cases are created from an email. Someone has gone to a Power Page or portal, they've created a case. The question is, how do people pick them up, right? So from a BA point of view, apologies, I'm picking on BAs tonight, you need to be able to support organizations to understand how the routing works. Because the cases can sit here, great, they've been created. So we need to apply some routing rules to say, okay, if this person doesn't have enough cases in their queue, create more cases for them, send some more cases to them. So one of the things you see in here, if I select queues, I want to show you what you see in a queue in here. So do we have any queues in here? No, so we don't have any queues in here available. Okay, that's fine. So if you don't have any queues in here, that's fine. So our first point of call is to come in here. It's not on there. Let me just duplicate this tab in here. We need to go to the customer service admin area. This is the front end, what the user will see. If you are working in the background, setting up some things, you need the customer service admin. So you see what you start seeing here. And then you see some of the things you have here. So in here, you're talking about automating some things to make it much quicker for people to streamline some of the long-winded processes. You can have email templates, which are for replies for specific cases. Then we're talking about those SLAs. Okay, what is our SLA as an organization? If someone says the system is broken, what is it? We can simply just generate and send to a user without having to type a guide. So those are some of the things you have in here. What we are interested in here at the moment is queues. So in here, what you see in here is basic queues, there's routing dialogues. So what I'm going to do at this point is to select manage. And then I'm going to create a new queue. So this queue here, if you can see, it's public. If it's public, what that means, anyone within that organization can see it. So in this case here, we're going to give this queue name called Blue Sky queue. And apologies, I'm not the best at spellings. So yeah, Blue Sky queue. And here we don't want to make this available for everyone. We want to make this private. You need to be part of the queue to see what's happening inside here. So at this point, we need an incoming email, which is going to bring our items in our queue. So what you see at the moment, I haven't saved it, so it won't expose. There's something which there's a subgrid which it will expose here once I save it. As part of your configuration, this can be done by a developer. This can be done by a functional consultant. As a tester, if you're testing a queue has been created, the first thing you need to validate is it a private queue or public? If you are a tester and you see a queue has the person who's developed it, it's a no. It should not that. That's a test fail. Reason being, if I'm the owner of the queue and one day I leave the organization and my profile gets deactivated, what that means, this queue won't work anymore too. That's basically what will happen. So at this point here, what we need is an incoming email address in here. So at this point, I'm going to use this email address here, which is Dan's email address for this tenant. So let me copy that in here, and I'm gonna put it, let me open a notepad. And then we put this on the side. This can come on this screen. So we're gonna need this at some point. Paste. And then what you need to do at this point is change this in the first instance if you're building this. And then we need to look for what's called a service account. If you want to use a service account, this can be owned by the team who work in that specific area. So in this case, we're going to look at a team in here. We're going to look at Omega A Data Analytics. That's the team we're gonna make ownership here. This team here does not get deactivated. So even if the team leaves the organization, this record will always stay in Dynamics. Unless the organization is getting dissolved and the team doesn't exist, you can always just go and rename the team and actually deactivating it. You hardly see many people putting a description in here. But I always recommend to put a description in here. So if your fellow colleague comes along, they can see what the queue is for. Just saying Blue Sky queue, I know it's for Blue Sky, but what is actually happening here with it? The next question I need to ask here before I carry on, are we still together? Anyone confused? Yes. Anyone who needs an additional explanation? Yeah, okay, good. We're still together. That's great to hear. So at this point here, what you can see, we have the information we need here. This here is set to convert all email messages. You can also set it email messages in response to Dynamics 365 email. You can set it if the person exists or lead as a contact lead account, only convert those activities. Email messages from Dynamics 365 that are email enabled. In some cases, you can basically say, do not convert any activities. For the purpose of what we're looking to demonstrate here, which is the common use case, is all email messages. If the organization has an email signature, you can always put the email signature in here. What we see here, we don't have any. We're going to come back to this and we show you what happens with an email signature. At this point, you can see the mailbox is logged. I cannot put anything in here. What then happens? Keep an eye on this here. What's going to happen? We're going to save our record. So this is our queue we have created. And then, can you see what I've seen on the error message here? So you will get issues like this on your project. BA, functional consultant, tester, developer. You will come across things like this here. So can everyone see the error message on the screen?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, great. Anyone want to guess what we need to do to fix this issue? Just look at the error message and just think what we need to do. Just to give you a clue, I don't want to make it too tough for you tonight. Just read on the screen, it tells what we need to do.
I think we need to assign a security role.
100% right. So it's telling us we need to assign a security role. We need to assign a security role. It's also telling us here. This is some of the wonders about Dynamics 365. It tells you what the problem is. So we can see the error message here telling us what the problem is. You can also go and say show details, and then you can see exactly what's happening here. And then you have this file here. In some cases, if you are a QA tester, you have identified this, you can basically select this, download it, and I'm going to show you what it's going to show. Then you can basically send this to your developer to fix. So this is the text file is generated. And if you can see here, the error message is here. This is the error message. This is a problem here. And it tells us where the issue is. So at the front end, it tells us a snippet with the writing exactly what we need to do. If you're not 100% sure, you can basically download it and just send this to a developer. A developer basically look here what's needed. So we are going to fix this here. So this here is missing read queue privileges. Okay, entity queue, localized name queue in business unit Omega 18 department. So we know what we need to do at this point. So if we can put this on the side, and now we are going to fix it. So interview time, you go for an interview. You can talk about the scenario like this. You are testing a creation of a queue, and you identified the queue or the team which needs to own the queue does not have the right permissions. The permissions which are required were to do with the read privileges. It doesn't have to have a name of the privilege, just the read privileges. So how we fix that issue, we need to go and identify this team here in the Power Platform admin area. Basically go into users and permissions, and this is where we need to fix our issue. If I go and say Teams here, and then we need to look for Omega team, which is these ones here. Let me just expand this a bit more so I can see what I'm doing. So it's this one here, our main focus. We know it's in this business unit. We know the owner is here. So you can simply select these three dots here for more actions, and you select manage security roles. And in this context here, we're going to give it low privileges because we have not created these things here. In a project where I mentioned earlier, you could be given as a BA or functional consultant to look at creating new things like this. So you need to be able to understand what the privileges inside represent. So in this case, I'm going to give it basic user, which is a very low level permission. It's safe. It's not going to give it administration permissions. At this point, I'm going to select save. So this will save, and it should tell me that it's been done with the green banner here, hopefully. There we go, it's done. The next thing here now is to go to our queue here. Let's save it. Again, before we save it, keep an eye on this. I'm going to select save. Can you see what's happened there now? Can you all see what's happened in that value we're talking about here? Are we all still together, right?
Yes.
Yes, yes.
Okay, so what's happened here is created a mailbox which is associated to this queue here. And like I mentioned earlier, it's now exposed this subgrid here. So what would then happen at this point is when items come into this mailbox here, which is associated to this, it would then create them here. People who are in this group here, we have 1 or 2, can see it. So I'm going to add an existing user in here, and we're going, let's see if we have an account for Blue Sky. Let's do it differently. Yeah, here, advanced lookup. And then we're going to see our users in here. So I'm going to add user 12, 15, 2. Which other user can I add here? Blue Sky 8. And 2. Which other one can we add? The other ones we don't need them. So we use these ones here. So if you see our users are here and we select add, and they will appear here. So these people here, they will be the one who have access to here. The only other people who can override or see what's in here if you have system admin in the system. So at this point, we now have this. Our next point of interest here is to look at this here. So what's going to happen at this point is going to fail because of this, because this is associated to Daniel's account. So we're going to trick it, and I'll show you how that will work. So settings, we are now looking at email. We're looking at mailboxes. So this here, what I'm doing here, in most cases, they tend to ask our BAs to do this kind of stuff. They rarely go to a developer to say, developer, can you do this for us? In some cases they do, but it's rare. Mostly they might just ask a functional consultant to go and do it, and then just ask the tester to test. So we're looking for a mailbox called Blue Sky. So in here, if you see a mailbox called Blue Sky, let's search here. Blue Sky, it doesn't like that. If we cannot pick it up from here, we'll get it in a different way. So we can see on our list here, we don't seem to have Blue Sky, which is this thing here we're looking for. Where is it going? Is it this tab here? Yeah, we're looking for this here, something called Blue Sky Q. So we can do this, or we can simply click here. Then it doesn't like opening it here. So it doesn't like opening it within the unified interface. So we can close that here, and then we have to find it in here. All mailboxes, and in here, let's paste this in here. There it is. So what you see at this point here, we're going to open it up a bit more. So we see what's in here, what happens. So what you're seeing here from Dynamics, this is what creates something called a handshake with Exchange. So emails are handled within Exchange. This is what allows you to send emails and to receive emails within Dynamics 365. So what will happen at this point here, we need to approve this here, this mailbox. We know it's server-side synchronization. A few years ago, you used to have to set the profile. Now we are using cloud technologies. This is set by default. You don't need to change this at all. This is always email router, okay? If they say they just want to get incoming, they don't want to reply, then you need to make sure this is set to none. So what will happen here, if we approve our mailbox, we are then we're saying you can talk to Exchange about emails. We then test our connection. If everything is set to the right way, we'll get a success in here. We'll get a success in here. This here is not set, so it will stay the way it is. We'll also get a timestamp here. What will also happen as part of that test and enable, this always goes first. It is always a quick one to complete, then followed by this. So when you approve here. One thing to remember here, there is two people who can approve. One of them is your Exchange admin. The second person is someone in Dynamics. You can also ask your organization to give you a role called delegate approver. So that role, we'll come back to this in a second. This role is sitting here. Permissions, security roles. So this is a new role which was added in January this year to allow functional consultant to do these things for themselves. Before you used to ask. So delegate, put approver. There, that's the one here, delegated mailbox approver. So you can just basically ask your Exchange admin to give you this role in Dynamics. So we speak about an admin being able to give security roles. Unfortunately, if you're not an Exchange admin, you cannot assign this role. It will tell you need to be an Exchange admin. So only the Exchange admin can assign you this role in Dynamics 365. So we then go back here. At this point here, we are going to select approve. And you get this little pop-up here. So it's telling you exactly what will happen. this point here, you agree to share data from Microsoft Exchange or any other configured email system with Microsoft Dynamics. Microsoft Dynamics 365 is subject to a separate privacy agreement that can be accessed here. I can tell you no one cares about this. People go in here and select OK. So if you don't have the permissions, it will tell you you cannot do it. So what you see now here, we have approved sharing of data with Microsoft Exchange, where our emails come from. That's step number one. After that, you can select save, just to make sure that change sticks. You don't necessarily have to do it, but if you just want to do it, you can. From that point, you can also select test mailbox. So this is the important part. A mailbox can only connect to one. So it's a one-to-one relationship. You cannot have this mailbox with this email address connected in your UAT environment and also connected in your production. So in here, it tells you if it was previously configured to sync with another organization, checking this option will switch it to sync with this organization. If you do not tick this box here, your emails will keep going to your UAT environment. And then people tell you, oh yeah, we are live now, but nothing is happening. So these are some of the things, if you are testing this, if you are a functional consultant, you're putting your requirements together, or your design, if you're a developer, you make sure these things are in place. But like I say, normally they do ask functional consultants to do this kind of stuff. At this point, you select OK. We will get a message here to tell us something is happening. So let me just do a refresh of this page here. Refresh, and then let's see our activities, what's happening in here. So in here in alerts, it tells us what's happening with our process about testing the connection. So in here, the system can complain and tell us that email address is associated to Daniel. So we might need to use a different one.
Configuration test results.
Okay, it's meant to update something here. It hasn't done it. Let's do it in a different way. Be that. Enter. And now it's telling us the email configuration test is scheduled. And we can now look into here. Configuration test results, nothing is updated here. Do we have any alerts? Nothing is in here yet. So it's doing something, which is a positive start. Started at the beginning. So once we have this here, we'll see the results. So again, we go in here. And yeah, it's doing something. So nothing has failed yet. The moment it fails, we'll definitely get something here. Once we have a success, the next thing which will be to do here is to test that this mailbox does what it's meant to do. So we'll definitely do an additional configuration just to test what's happening here. This hasn't updated. The test configuration is scheduled. So it's thinking about it to do something. While this is taking place, one other thing additional you can do if there's an issue you can simply download the mailbox items in here. So if you are testing here and there's an issue, you basically download the mailbox details and you can give it to your developer if the developer has been given the task, or you can attach it to your defect or your bug. You want to put in your backlog and just say, you know what, that's the issue there. So that's downloaded. Let's go and look for it. So it's in here somewhere. This is the detail here of what is downloaded. So what is downloaded, you can basically see all these things. You don't necessarily need to know this, but if someone, for example, from your Exchange team asks you for a bit more info, you basically just send them this. So mostly it will be Exchange team which fixes this issue than yourself in Dynamics. So we take this away. Actually, no, I need to cancel this. I still need the tab here. We put this on the side. And then this point here, let's see what's happening here. Yep, nothing is happening up to date. So while this is running, we'll come back and have a look at it. So this is normal if it's the first time you're running this, but after a few runs, the rest of them will just pick up much quicker. It will take approximately 2 minutes for this to run. So we'll leave this in the background and we're going to go back to our queue. So we have our queue here. So once we have our queue here, one thing we expect to happen is our emails coming in here. We also need to create our cases. So how we create our cases, if you see here, record creation and update rules. There's two things you can do here. You can use Power Automate to achieve here, which is the new recommended way to do it. You can use the native Dynamics case creation rules. Simply come in here and you select new record creation. If you have an existing one, you can basically attach it to this queue here. So in here, basically select new record creation. It's going to open us a different interface. And here we are. The next thing, what we need to do at this point here, we're going to say create blue sky case. Again, if you see here, it's telling us this rule here will be monitoring this queue here. Okay, so it's monitoring here. What activity are we monitoring? Given on our previous screen here, let's see if we can pick up our queue or items. Queues. Where is that queue gone? Okay. I know why that queue is not showing on this view. I need to add myself to it. So we have that here. How do I minimize this thing here? Okay, that's better. Now, in here, blue sky case, and we have an option now to set our conditions. What you need to understand, this here does not come alive until you save your record creation update rule. You can decide to say automatically reply to the email. In this case, we're going to say yes, because we want the person to get an automatic reply to say we have received their case. So let's see if we have a template in here. Yep, so in here, we have an email template. This one here, you have one out of the box, case auto response. We put that in here. we'll look to see what's inside here. Once we have that, we are going to select save. Once you are in this process of creating your record creation, it will always stay in this status. Once you make it alive by making it active, it will start doing things. So we are here now, we need to put our conditions. What is the condition for a case to be created? So before we go ahead here, let's have a look at our mailbox in here. If anything has happened yet. Yeah, so this is still running. Under normal circumstance, it shouldn't take this long. So we're going to cancel this by rejecting the email. Once we reject it, no email will be processed. We're going to deactivate it. So this basically stops everything happening here. And then we're going to approve it again. Repeating step number 1 we did earlier. And then at that point, we're going to test and enable and see if that pushes it much quicker. Okay, it's still doing its thing here. Can minimize it. So this is our case creation rule here. We can then select new. Refresh the page. Then at this point, new. Then look what it opens here for me. So what you see here, it asks you what is the condition name. So in the condition name here, you're going to say new case creation. Let's just give it a name so it's unique. Okay, and then we have this now. So what conditions should be met? So in this case, we're going to say all, and we now have add row, add group, add related entity. At this point, we're going to select add row. And then it's saying select a field. And in this case here, it's asking me which field I need to use in here. So if you see everything here, it's referring to emails. So in here, we're looking for a value called from, and we're going to say from, and we're going to select contains data. So this is, to remember, this is for example purposes. This is not how you can do it. You can do it this way if you wish to, that will still work, but this is more or less how you set it up at this point. So we've set up this condition here. We can also select add row, and we can put an additional value in here. Subject. So we're going to look for a value in here called subject. The value subject of the email here, we need to have data. If it doesn't have data, we're not going to create nothing. So contains data. If these two conditions are met, we go to the next step. What you see here, I have the option here, save and open in Power Automate. We're going to get to it. So if we say save and open in Power Automate, you're going to see what it's going to show us here. And then it's telling us a pop-up was blocked in here. We need to allow the pop-ups. Always allow from this environment, and then save it, open in here. Here. And then you're going to see Power Automate. Accept. So if you're not sure about Power Automate, don't do it. If you're sure, go ahead and do it. But the key thing while this is loading, the first thing for you to understand is to look here. It tells you, do not delete or rename this name here. And if you see here, some of the connections are not authorized. If you created a workflow from a template, please add authorized connections to a workflow before saving. What we are going to do here is to authenticate, to authorize the connection. So we're going to authorize the connection here. It's now here, and we're going to select continue. And then it creates a flow for you. Okay. So in here, you can basically look exactly what we're doing in Dynamics. Let me show you in here. Change type, modified, table name, email messages is running on a scope for an organization, not business unit or user or parent child. It's running from an organization point. These values here, you can change them, but do not change this as it says here. At this point here, it then looks to identify the sender, customer from email sender, and it's a string. Is this email sender a contact or an account? It basically created something in here for you. Sender is equals to contact, sender is equals to accounts, and then it gets a branch. If it is yes, is email sender a contact? If they're not a contact, it just says terminate here. No valid customer found. If sender is a contact, we can open it and see what's happening in here. Sender is equals to contacts. And then at this point, it says yes. At this point, they say retrieve sender contact. It basically pulls up the dynamic value here and then set parent customer for that case. And if it's a no, set account as customer. This is what you should do. So you're not actually configuring anything here. It's already done for you. And if you see here, create a record, that's an additional step. And here it's now telling us the subject, the table, customer accounts is picking up this. So we can click onto here, and this is the values it's using here. This is what it's using in here. It's configured the variables here for you. So you don't necessarily need to change them. We can keep going, connect record to the incoming activity. And then in here, again, it's doing things for you. This is the case creation ID in Dynamics. So at this point here, we're going to select save. So once we select save at this point here, we can go back to Dynamics 365. This Power Automate flow is saved now. It will always be active until it will always be active, but it won't do anything until we activate our record creation at this point here. So again, we put our conditions in here. We're saying it needs to create a case. So once we have this in here, the next thing we can do is to say close. We have saved it already. We can close it at this point. So at this point here, this is what's going to create our case. And on step number 3, we can have additional actions to take after matching with the condition. What we have in here is the new interface of Dynamics 365 when you are configuring case creation rules. There's also a different way, which I'll show you as well. If you want to kind of see things in a different way, if you happen to decide that, let's see what's happening here with our mailbox. So again, in here, for me, what this does tell me is there's an issue which this account here is having communicating to Exchange. This process shouldn't take this amount of time it has taken. So we want to come back to it. Let's go back in here and let's go back in here. So in here, let's go and put .com. I just want to show you the other area you can see that case creation rule and the difference in the interface too. You basically go into the legacy interface, advanced settings, and then in here, you can select this option in here, and case rules, if I remember correctly, they came under service management. In a while since I came back here, let's see, it should be in here. If not, it will be business management, but it should be here. Case management, rules. Yep, in here, automatic record creation updates. So if I click into this thing here, we are going to look for our record creation we created earlier. Inactive, no, active, then it doesn't show in here. The question is, why is it not showing in there? It should also show in that area, record creation. In here. Okay. Let's go and hunt for it. So we're gonna do a search at this point because we know we have created one. Let's do a search for it. We're gonna say new, and in here we're gonna look for status. Reason is in draft mode. Okay, we'll do results in here. There it is. So let's see if I open it here, if it's going to open the legacy one for me. I think it's going to stay in the new interface. Yes, no, yes, no. Let's see what it's going to bring us at the top here. Yep. Yeah, it's going to keep it in this interface, which we don't need. We can tell it is here already. So the question is, if they stopped it from appearing from this point here. Okay, cancel this and leave. Yeah, it's not showing in here. Let's try and force it. So what we have now at this point is our record creation with step number 2. You can have multiple steps in here, by the way. The only thing you need to consider here, it takes the order from the top. Whichever is at the top is the order it goes into in checking your conditions in here. We also spoke about this template here. Let's open it up and see what's in that template. So this is what you get in the template. So this is the key thing here, the case title, case number, and the case number here. And this is what comes into it. So in an organizational point of view, they can basically normally have dear customer here, and basically it will pick up the customer's name, and then it puts it in here when it sends it out. And then we've opened a case and it gives you the title for your request and one of our customer service representatives. So this message here can be tailored to meet your organizational demands. You can also create your own if you need to, but this is what comes out of the box. So this is your template, and basically because we have configured it here, at this point here, it will automatically send. And then it will also associate this reply to the customer to their account and contact records. So that's something to keep an eye on. So now we're going to activate our case creation here. So if you see, again, it's a one-to-one relationship. Only one row per queue activity type can be activated. This means if you activate this row, the previous activated row will be deactivated. So it's important for you, if you're doing this kind of work, to kind of look exactly what the screen is saying. And in some cases, once you familiarize yourself with these things here, you can quickly tell your stakeholders to say, oh, that's not possible, we cannot achieve that. And because the technology doesn't allow you to do that. In some cases, you can try and trick the system and build something with some code, but most organizations now, they try to avoid using a lot of code in Dynamics, because what tends to happen when Microsoft put their updates, they don't care about your code. So you can have so many bugs introduced by that. So code, yes, is still being used, but not heavily as it used to be a few years back. So activate this here, and then we'll see what's going to happen once we activate it. So now you see we cannot edit this record creation. We can now go back a step and then this is our queue. And if you see, we have our record creation in here now. So what we need to do here is to go back to our interface here. Let's just refresh and see if it appears here now. So one of the reasons why it's not appearing here is likely to be this here. They're trying to move away people using this interface because it's a legacy one. They want you to use the new one.
Text box.
So you can used to be able to create them from here like this. Let's see the interface in here, what you get. Yep, perfect. So if you see in here, it's also telling you effective from April 1, 2023, the automatic record creation rules are deprecated in web client. This is the web client. So any rules created in the web client to the new interface experience, so they need to be migrated. There's a migration tool to do that. So I'll show you that migration tool as well. So in here, if I select OK, we're also going to create one here. Blue Sky Legacy case creation. And then we take this at the front out. Then in here, we're monitoring activity. At this point here, if you see the difference with the other interface picks up this for you. And in here, we are going to select an owner. We need to use an owner, which is normally a service account or a team. We can select in here. We can only assign these things to it. We got queues in here. Yeah, so we're going to select, where is our queue, our Omega queue. Omega, this one here, and we're going to select add. And the owner needs to change too. It should not be myself owning these things. And then we select our lookup for more records. And in here, we're going to use, change the value. Yes, we can. We need to use a team. Yep, there we are. And in here, you can scroll down, you can also search here. So in here, we're looking for our Omega team, this one here, and we select add. And then at this point here, you can create records from email from unknown centers, and then you can basically create the contact records for them. You can create a case if they have a valid entitlement. This here, you can always leave it like that, and then create cases for activities associated with the resolved case. You can also select this or leave it. We're going to leave it now. The automatic response, which we use a template, in here in the old way of doing it, you can simply select that checkbox. And if you see in here, you will see the same template here, just a different view to it. And then once you get to this point here, this here, you cannot enable anything here until you select save. Once you select save at this point here, if I open this option in here, and let's see what interface is going to give us. And then at this point here, for some of you who have had the term which is called workflow, you have an interface which is similar to a workflow. So we're gonna get to see it in here shortly once this loads up. Yep, here we are. So at this point in here, we need to change this in here to the different interface, and then it takes me here. So this is not what we need. Let's see the other one in here. Yep, so let's use this one here. Blue Sky record creation test. And then at this point, we're going to save it so we can add our actions in here and our conditions. Once I save it, if you see the interface is different. So at this point in here, you basically select your condition, email, and then you select in here we're looking for sender. Sender that we did earlier. We're looking for contains data. There it is. And then we're looking for email, and we're looking for subject. So it's exactly similar to what we did in the other interface. This is just a bit more clearer if you're new to it, and it helps you a bit. So in here, we're also looking for contains data. This one here. Then at this point in here, we're going to add a step. So we're going to create a record. So this is where it's different. It does not create the flow for you. In this context here, we can basically select create record at this point, and then it will ask you what record you want to create. Where else the flow is clever, it just tells you you need to create a case. So in this case in here, we're going to look for case. So let's see if we can get to it. Case, here we are. And then once we put case in here, what properties do you need to have for your case? As opposed from what we see with the Power Automate, where it creates the values for you, this interface allows you to open this thing here, and then you can kind of start doing some things you wish to do. It kind of gives you a little bit more flexibility. Again, if you see the case title that's been populated, the next thing you need to do in here is to scroll down a bit, and you can kind of start saying, okay, who is the owner of this specific cases when they're created. You can also put priority. By default is normal. you can set priority for a specific queue to be high. You can set it to be low, you can set it to normal. So in here, I've selected high. And the case stage is the default value when a case comes in. Severity, again, it's a default value. You can add your own values here. The KPIs, if you have any KPIs, you can basically select your KPIs in and set it when it comes in for that specific KPI. So this is what you can do with this interface. So once you have this interface here, you select save and close at this point, because we're not going to change anything here. Once we have our step in here, it's now asking us specify other actions. So at this point in here, we're going to say send an email. So at this point, send an email. Once it decides to respond, let's wait for it. Yep, great. And set properties. And then we can basically set the properties of this email here. So again, similar to that template area, you can basically set what you need to have in here. And then once you set it, it sends it out. So if you see these values are not mandatory, so let's save and close it. It's not going to do anything at this step here. You can also decide to run a separate process after it's been done. So at this point, we're going to select save and close. So once we say save and close, we have our case creation rule here. So I want to show you what's going to happen if we activate this. So if I say activate, and if you see in here, it's telling us a message here. Do you want to continue? Because we want to continue. So at this point, it will process it, and we're going to go and see the queue for this. Can anyone spot an issue here? Anyone spot an issue here? Of course, it's been activated. Our target queue here is the blue sky queue. So we need to change this. You won't be able to change this as this is now active. So what you need to do is to deactivate it. That's the only way you can activate these things or kind of make changes to it. So once this deactivates, what you now have is the option to now search for that queue we're looking for, this one here. And we can now save it, the bottom right hand side here, and then activate it. And then we activate this point. So this is now activated. Now we need to go to our queue. So if you see the difference, this is Power Automate. If we go to our blue sky queue here, and then just do a refresh here, we should see two of them. So if you see here, we activated the second one, the legacy one. It's now put this one in draft because the relationship here is 1-to-1. You can also decide to say, okay, yeah, we don't need this here. Let's do this here. In option here, we activate this one, and then that will deactivate the other one. So once we activate the other one will become draft. To just keep things a bit more simple, if you get to organization with multiple things like this, you need to ask the question, do we need them? If we don't need them, let's get rid of. So at this point, here we are. The next thing we need to keep an eye on is this mailbox, our mailbox here. what's going on with it. So if you see here, something is stuck. It's not quite working as this is meant to be. So what I'll need to do here is to investigate why this is not working, and then we can test this mailbox here. So once we send the mailbox, because we now have this set up here, we have the email coming here and a case created. So I did mention that, and you also seen it, that from April, these things won't be supported anymore by Microsoft. So what you need to do if you get to a project like that, the job is very simple for you. I'm going to show you how simple the job is. So in here, in the admin area, you have a migration tool they give you. It's called ARC. Looking for it. Oh, that. You okay? So there is an option which is in here. It's not just showing on here, but the option will be in here which says migration, and that option allows you to pick up the legacy case creation rules and get them in the same state as this. So you don't necessarily need to build anything. It's a click of a button which will then convert it for you to look like this. While you're in here, in this area here, you can also look at things like this. The case settings. You can basically start setting things whether it helps your customers, it helps your teams, but these things you're seeing in here, most of them are pretty new. So in some cases, people might not be familiar with. So I always recommend, if you're not so sure about something in here, just have a play around with it and see exactly what's in there. You also have things like work streams in here. So when you talk about work streams, you start talking about routing of these cases. So when you talk about routing, you start kind of talking about your contact center platform, whereby things need to be routed to a specific department, things need to be routed to a specific team. You can kind of start building those kind of things. One thing which you also have is the ability for your teams, not just customer service or case management only, is to pick up a record in Dynamics 365. So let me see if I can pull up a record or a case, and I'll show you something what you can also do with Dynamics 365 in terms of case management. So if we go onto cases, and then we open this case here, the one we created earlier, what you can do with this case here, you can start having a conversation with someone who does not have a Dynamics license. So you basically come in here and click that option in here, and you start talking about Dynamics free things in Teams. So if you see Teams here, Dynamics 365. If you see at this point in time, this is not enabled. How we do that or achieve that is to come into settings in here, environments, and then we need to go into our settings, and then we need to go into integration, Teams integration settings. And then at this point, we need to switch it on here. Yep, you can also use this option as well. Let people in your organization connect records and views in Teams channels. So we're going to select save. You also have this option in here. Allow pinning of records and views to a Teams channel directly from Dynamics 365. So let's use that too as well. And then it gets me here, and let's do this in here. Accept, and then we save it. So this allows us, for example, if you are talking to your stakeholders and they say, okay, yeah, do we need to have everyone licensed? If they don't need the license, they don't need to, they can basically use collaboration tools like Microsoft Teams, which integrates with Dynamics 365 without any development work. It's more or less a click of a button, as I've just done here. There's nothing else which needs to be done. So once this completes saving, you'll be able to see this thing working. And whatever conversation which takes place in Microsoft Teams for a specific record, that record activity also feeds back into Dynamics 365. So it's just important to kind of understand that side of things. So we're talking about Microsoft Teams here. There's also Power BI in Dynamics 365. So after I show you this Teams integration, I'm going to touch on Power BI a little bit, where as a functional consultant, or if you're working on any project, you can also come with such ideas to say, oh, we can use Power BI like this. You don't necessarily need to be a Power BI expert because you don't actually configure anything. Dynamics does it for you. So I will show you shortly. Let's just finish saving this here. While it's saving, I can actually test to see if it's actually done it. We don't need this anymore. Is there this window or this one here? Yeah, this one here. Let's just do a refresh. And then we select our collaboration option in here. No, it hasn't done it yet. Where is this window? This one here is still saving it. So while this is saving here, we can show you, because basically when it's saving like this, it's actually creating the configuration in the background. It shouldn't take long either. This takes no longer than 5 minutes to be complete. So if we go into Dynamics in here, and we go into contacts as an example. So in this case in here, we're going to close our window here for Teams for now. Yeah, we closed it. So you see we have 14 records in here. If your users are in Dynamics 365, they can simply create views. We spoke about views before. Once you have your view in here, what you can simply do is select this option here, visualize in Dynamics. So what you see here, it's actually building some dashboards for me based on that view. So you can start seeing how it will look like in Power BI. So in here, it's telling me, make sure you have a connection to the server. And this is the response I'm getting back. So the refresh token expired. It's asking me to have a look at it. So I can close this and give it another try. Yeah, active contacts, visualize this view in Power BI. Okay, it's doing something now. You can see it's generating a report. This report here will be custom to the person who's done it. So if you see it starts building things within Power BI now. So what you can see in here, a user by themselves, they can change how this looks like. So if you see in here, we can save this here. And we call it Blue Sky. Blue Sky BI, and then my workspace, and then we continue and we're saving it. So this is just personal to myself. I can basically start breaking this down. The report has been saved, and you can always open the file in Power BI. So you can open it like this. So this is now Dynamics data showing in Power BI. So it's going to ask me to sign in. We're going to sign in at this point. And for those of you who are interested in using Power BI, this is an easier way to get started. If you see here, this is the name we gave it in Dynamics, and it's going to load our dashboard in here. So what we are seeing here, we're talking about active contacts by company name. If you see the number 4 here, Trey Research, if we go into Dynamics in here, we're talking about 4 of them. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. So we know our BI dashboard we're seeing here, we are now working outside Dynamics. You can start building your dashboard. This is consuming data from Dynamics. Again, if you see, we're talking about Power BI at this point. You can basically subscribe to the report to get any updates to it. You can also share this with somebody. You can also decide to personalize this visual, and you can basically select exactly how you want it to look like, and basically select these things in here. So at this point, you can basically go and select just something different, a donut chart, and this is the representation. So in some cases, you could be a functional consultant here. Someone just made a request, can I have this? You could be that data person, can I have this in Dynamics? You can simply basically create this a view in Dynamics and then just share with your audience. So again, if you see here, it's breaking it down into a Power BI dashboard. You can also change this in here by full name. And if you can see how it breaks it down. So this is just an example. Again, you start seeing the names of the people here. You can basically click on the person, you see it now highlights this. You can go to Kim, it highlights that portion, the number, and the percentage. So this is Power BI. Let's go back to our Microsoft Teams collaboration. Okay, so in here, we can see something has happened, and this is the tables. We can use these teams. We can also add record types if we need 2 additional ones. So now, if we go back into Dynamics 365, where is my window? This one here, we're going to go to a case. And we're going to go back to that test case we created earlier, which is this one here. And with this case here, we're going to select our Dynamics area here. So it's still telling me enable Microsoft Teams within Dynamics 365 from here. Let's see exactly what you want me to enable. It's enabled already, but it's just not picking it up. So let's see. Yep, this is perfectly needs to be there. Let's select this functionality if it needs it. It doesn't need that anyway, but we just put it there just to make sure there's nothing missing. Accept. So you cannot do this as a developer or as a functional consultant or a data analyst or a tester. Your global admin will normally need to do this for you. So now we have that done. Let's go back to our Dynamics record. We can basically do it from where is it? Looks like yeah, we can always do it from here too. And it's not syncing through even though we have updated it. So again, this is another piece of functionality which is taking time to sync. But again, if you see the concept is the same even in Power BI, you can also chat in Teams. So if you see in here, in Power BI, it's got to it already, and it's going to ask me to sign in into the Teams area where it's connected to. And you're going to see what will happen here once it loads up. So while this is loading, are we still together?
Yes, please. Can I ask a question? I could see that this pop-up shows Microsoft Edge. And does it matter if it shows Chrome?
Oh, you can use Chrome. So Microsoft Edge, the underlying engine which is in Edge is exactly the same as Chrome. So Microsoft went to steal their technology from Chrome. So it's almost exactly the same thing. Just Microsoft will just try and push their product, but it's exactly the same engine now.
Okay, thank you.
So now we are in our Teams now. It's asking me the name of the person, the group or channel I need to share this with. Let me see if I can pick up here, the data team, this one here. And select this in here, and then about this report here, and then I can share with them. But for some reason, it hasn't picked up, it's something else. That's why this is not coming alive. So let's try if we can use a user instead and see what happens if we use a user. So you can't send messages because you're not a member in this chat. Now it tells me an error message. So how we're going to fix that is to do this here. Teams, let's log into Microsoft Teams. And then we'll pick up a channel I can see in here. Microsoft Teams. Once we're in Microsoft Teams here, is this the right area? Not this one here. Sign out. And then we need to sign with the correct account. So you can only connect to the Microsoft Teams, which is associated to your organization. You cannot send this externally. So teams.microsoft.com. Let's select team here. What credential are you using? Okay. Just thinking about it. Yeah, still going. Yeah, and this hasn't come alive either. So can wait for it. This here decided to play around. Then we now have subscribe here. So does anyone on this call have access to this channel here?
Give treat. think so.
If no one, don't worry, that's fine. I'll be able to find it in a different way. In the canvas.
I think I have access to Prep Major Call for gift rates.
Can you kindly add me to it temporarily and remove me after the session, please?
Oh, I might not be able to remove you.
That's
I don't
fine.
have the
That's
admin
not a problem. So
Okay.
yeah, so we can always revisit this, but basically the idea here is when you kind of working on projects, you can always bring value in this context. So in some cases, you don't really want to tie yourself and say, oh yeah, I'm only a developer, I'm only a tester, I'm only a functional consultant. You can always, if you realize, okay, there's opportunities people are missing, you can kind of add value. Once you add value, whether it's a contract job, it's a permanent job, when you try to negotiate pay rises, people know, okay, yeah, that person is always providing value, additional stuff. So they're more than happy to kind of extend contracts in that way, because they know, okay, yeah, we're missing this, and this person brought this thing for us. So it's always nice if you can. You don't have to, but if you can, it's always nice. So this thing here is done. But the question is, where is our stuff? To customer service. We're gonna try it on a contact record and see what happens. There it is. I don't want to send any feedback to you. Yeah, so yeah, this hasn't come across, but on the next session, I will show you the first part of it to see if this is working. The other thing I also have, which we spoke about, I think it's on the backlog somewhere. We spoke about putting the Blue Sky logo here and changing the color here. Has anyone ever managed to get around to that by any chance?
I think we might need some admin, right, to be able to do that.
That's a very good attempt. Unfortunately, you don't need admin rights to do it.
For the logo, you might, but that's what I think, because I tried to do it. But for the header, to change the color, yes, you can change to different color.
Did you change it for the whole organization or just for yourself?
Just for myself.
Yeah, so in this context, we need to change it for the whole organization. We need to make sure we have the logo for the whole organization too. Did anyone happen to ever look at that, or someone assigned that story on the board? Anyone assigned that, or it's not assigned yet?
We have a story coming up for our team for the next day.
I can't hear you. Sorry, your volume is very low.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you now. Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Sorry I came in late, but we have a story coming up for this next sprint for the banner and also a logo.
Okay. So does anyone has an idea how you're going to achieve that, or would you need some guidance on how to do it?
Yes, we would. Just like she said, I changed mine, but it was just for myself, and I used the team to do that. So yes, we'll need it if it's for the whole organization. I don't have an idea for that.
Okay, that's fine. So there is a tool which we can use to achieve that. So let me just give you a heads up in here, and then you can kind of start thinking about it. If not, I can just do a demo quickly and show you how that will work. Let me just I need this email address in here, copy, and Let's put this in here. And next. So what you need to be able to do that, it's a tool. There's a tool called XRM Toolbox. So this is the tool here. So for developers, QA, data people, developers, this is your friend. This is your kitchen. This is where the food is made when you're talking about Dynamics. If you want to make things a bit easier for you, this is the home of it. So at this point in here, there's lots of tools in here, lots of them. So I'm not connected to anything. I'm going to connect to my environment here. And in here, I'm talking about something called theme. It's not in here, but I can add it from the library here. So it's gonna pull down the logos here. And then once it caches them in here, I'll select what I need. So with this tool here, if you can see here, the metadata has been updated and it's just updating the tools too. So once I have that, the tool is called here, let me search for it. It's called Thema. And then I'm going to install it and say yes. So it's downloading it within this tool here, and I can close it. And now I can use it. Thema, there it is. So at this point in here, I want to put a theme. So I'm going to say download themes in here. We all agree this is the color we have right now, right? On the navigation, right?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
Yeah. So in here, I can simply click in here and I'm going to select a green color as an example. And then I have this green color in here. The next thing we can also do now is, if you see it's asking us for other colors, you can even change the text as well, the colors. So at this point here, I'm going to say upload the theme as a starting point. So we have uploaded that here. The next thing, what you will need to see is that change we've just made, to see it actually taking place here. So you can see it's still black here, right? We can just simply refresh our page. And let's see where that change has gone to. Let's go to our sales trap. So you can see the color has changed, right?
It has.
Yeah. So yeah, the color has changed. That's how you basically change the theme itself. In here, that our team is still not working. So you can simply go back to your area here. And then at this point, if you have a logo, you can basically simply just upload the logo here. So I would have done it for you guys, but I don't really want to do it because that means you won't be able to do it on your screen. It just be more or less saying it's done, but that's how you would do it. So you click in here. So let me just put a logo in there. Then the job for you now would then be to remove what I've put in there. So let's put a logo in there. See, church. I'm just gonna look for a church logo. I hope no one gets offended with religion here, but church is the one thing which came in my mind first. So I've saved this image here, and I've gone into here now. I can now select an image. I'm pretty sure that has gone into my downloads folder. and modify. Where is that image gone? Where is it saving to? Cancel this. Save image as. Okay, I didn't go through this step, that's why. D365 image. And then downloads. Okay, that's great. We can now close this. And then we can come back to our tool here. And we can look at our downloads in here. All files. There it is in here. So you can see our image in here, and we're going to change the color a bit more now.
Can you move the image? Does it have to be in the middle? Can you move it like in your right, on your left?
It will be on the top left corner. So in this image, it just shows you here. But if we do this in here, for example, I've changed it to white, the background, and we say upload the theme. It now fails at this point because it wants me to change the name of this thing here. So I'm going to save this, save to disk, and I'm going to select theme, CCG, and then I'm going to copy this part here so I know where I've put my stuff. So now I'm going to load from the disk, and in here, there it is, and then upload the theme. It doesn't like it, so that's fine. If it doesn't like it, we can do it in a different way. Download themes, and then upload it. It's not gonna like it. Why? Save as test.
Hi, Alex.
Hello.
Yeah, I tried to download the XRM. It comes
Yep.
as a zip file.
Yeah,
So
that's correct.
where will you have to upload it?
So once it comes as a zip file, you then basically need to extract the zip file. Within the zip file, there is an application called XRM Toolbox, and then you execute that. So this here, the saying is done. What happens if we do a refresh here? No, it hasn't done it.
Does it have any restriction where you extract it to? Can you just extract it maybe in a document folder? Or
You can extract it. You can extract it anywhere, really, to be honest.
Anywhere, okay.
Yeah. Do invalid web resource ID. Download things. Then pictures and downloads. And then change this. Okay. Not liking that, so even if I save it, and just yeah, so something is failing here. So the easier way, normally if you have this issue, kill the tool like that, just reopen it, download themes here, then go with this option in here, downloads, and then change this in here, images, upload it. Still doesn't like it. Invalid web resource for details. Yes, Ray, go ahead.
As image. I think what I saw earlier you did is you just did save as. So probably it's getting from the browser from online directly. Or you didn't save
Yeah,
as.
we can try and get it again. Images, and then let's try a different image. Save as, and then a JPEG image. This one's not a JPEG, so let's see if it's an issue with the image. We can then go back in here, and then we select our image in our download folder. This one here. Open. Let's see what happens. Yeah, it still doesn't like it. So the other option I can use here is to completely close the application and then just restart it. And then once we are here, select this option. Then download themes. And then we can add our JPEG image. And this image is gone all files. This image here, upload it. Yeah, it still doesn't like it. There's something which it doesn't like, which I need to figure out what it is, because we have saved it in here, which is even this file here. So we should be able to just upload this point. Save to disk, we saved it already, which is here. Download themes. We have the themes already. We select this one here. Yep, the default one, it doesn't like it either. CRM.
Hello, Alex.
Hello.
Is there no way for one to interpret the error message that is being displayed?
There is a way to interpret the error message being displayed here. If you are a developer, you can interpret this. So it says system theme cannot be updated. So it's telling us it's a system theme. It cannot be updated. So we need to understand why is it the system theme cannot be updated. So it's either we need to do something different, but we have already done something different at this point here. We can say save as, give it a different name maybe. Yeah, I've given it a different name, and we can try and see what happens. I've given it that name there, and then let's see if that works. So if you see now, it's now telling us a different message, invalid web resource ID. So yeah, those who understand a bit more code than myself, they'll be in a better position to say, okay, yeah, it's failing there. This is how we fix it. The only thing I could think of doing here is to maybe look for an update for the tool and do it. It will definitely work, that's for sure, because it's something I've done on my project 2 days ago. If we say load from disk, we can come in here, and do we have anything in here? It's this one here, which has this one here. Let's put test in there. Yep, that doesn't go too well with it. Yeah, so Yeah, basically, if you have this, if you load it for the first time, when you upload your logo, it will update it. If you have any issues, just let me know. But now I have my own homework. Now I need to figure out why this is not doing it.
Maybe you
Does
can
it-
try another logo.
We can use a different logo. So if you see in here, we have 2 different logos. So in here, in downloads, we have one here, we have this one. So we can change to this one here, which is that one. If you try to save it, it doesn't really like it. You can save to disk and give it a different name. Blue Sky logo example. And then we can save it here. So that's now being saved. We can now select it in here. It's not showing in here. We have that one there. Let's say upload theme. The only other thing I could think of, it's the connection itself to the environment.
For the connection, how are we going to connect? Because I'm trying to connect and it's showing different things like certificates, Microsoft login control. So I don't know how
So
you were able
you
to
need
connect.
to open Microsoft login control.
Yeah.
Once you get to the Microsoft login control, you select Office 365, and then you select display list of available organizations. And then at this point, you say login. It will prompt you to put your username in there. So the username you need to put in there is your own Microsoft account. That's the username you need to put in there and the password for that account. So
Yeah,
it will be
mine is not showing Microsoft 365 to connect.
what are you getting from your side?
It's only showing use default configuration or provide your own details for authentication.
So you can see my screen, right?
Yes, that is
So,
exactly what I'm
yeah.
saying.
So if you select this option here, can you see it?
Yes.
You select that. It's now not going to let me because I have it open here. Let's close that. Okay. And then once you click it, you should have a window like this. Can you see this window like this?
Yes, I've clicked on the Office 365.
And now select display list of available organizations.
All right.
And then select login. Once you select login, you have a window like this.
Yeah.
Once you have a window like this, if you then select your email address, you have, did I not copy that email address? This one here. Yeah, no, I did not copy it. Copy, and then you put that in here.
Does it have to be my personal email or the one that I share with us?
Your personal email wouldn't work, so it needs to be the one you are using to log into the system.
Okay.
So like this, your email address should have these things here. Then next, then let me see if I remember my password. Oh, great. Then once you put your password, you will get a list of the 2 environments here. You have the default, you need to select the training one. And then you select login. Then it asks you for the name you want to give to that environment. The connection is now validated and you can finish. Once you finish, you are now able to get to a point where you will be at option for tools in here, and you see a list of tools. You can select whichever tools you want to use, but this is the only one aware of if you want to update your theme.
Okay. So for the name, can I give it any name or it has to be Blue Sky?
It can be any name you remember. This really is just personal to yourself from a configuration point of view. Yeah, that's like it.
Yeah, I
So
think I'm connected now.
you're now connected.
It hasn't shown connection, but I click on finished.
Yeah,
After
if
I
it says
put my-
finished, at the bottom here, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, yes.
If you have a drop down, if you kindly select it and then
I'm
select
connected.
your organization, say connect
Oh,
to it.
yeah. Yeah, I'm connected now.
Yep. And then once you're connected, because this theme doesn't come by default, you need to select configuration at the top here
Okay.
and then select tool library. Once you select tool library, you can search in here for something called theme. So by just putting THEM, it's put it there for me already. So with the checkbox, it tells me it's already available. I have it already. So it don't allow me to install it for the second time unless there's an update.
So is it the last one, the one that shows 365?
This one here, yep.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, I've checked it.
And then once you checked it, did you select the option to say install, which will be
no.
here? So for you, it should be active because you haven't installed it.
Okay, yeah.
Have you installed it, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the next thing to do, if you then now go to tools in here at the top here,
Okay.
and then just search for the one you just installed, Thema,
All right.
and then open it.
Yeah, it's open.
And now select download themes.
Okay, yeah. I can see the green.
Yep, and now
logo.
in that area, can you just double click where the green is and upload any image?
All right.
Not of yourself, but any logo, please.
Okay.
And then once you upload your image, can you select upload theme?
All right.
Do you get a failure or a success?
Yeah, I want to save the logo first.
Okay.
Okay, see it. Okay, upload theme, right?
Yep. Yes, please.
Okay, is
And
uploading.
then have you selected the theme you saved, right? In this
Yep.
list here?
Yep.
And then now select upload theme, please.
Yeah, I've done that.
Do you get a success?
How will I confirm that? The only thing I can see is that I didn't get the pop-up message that you get.
Okay, that's perfect. So we can always check in here what you have done from your side in here. Where is our area here? Da, 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 da. We can basically just validate that in just close that and open this. Yeah, so what you've uploaded hasn't come to here because we should be able to see it It should appear here.
Okay. Should I save to Dix or how will I?
If you save to disk already, right?
No, I have not saved to Dix.
Okay, if you save to disk, please.
Okay. Yeah.
Then once
It's
you save,
asking me to, it's opening a file explorer to save.
yep, if you save it there.
All right. Yeah, I've saved it.
And then once you save it there, if you now select it in this drop down,
All right.
there's this drop down here.
Yeah.
You select that image and select upload theme.
It says team uploaded.
Is it saying theme uploaded, right?
Yeah, that's what I get.
Yeah, that's fantastic stuff. Let's have a look to see what happens here. There we go.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. Yeah.
Yep. That's basically how you do it.
I think what I did was to run as admin so that I'll be able to use the tool.
Yeah, that possibly could be the issue here.
Yeah.
But yeah, or what you've done there, that's exactly how you will fulfill the story you have on the board. So is everyone okay with that, right? So yeah, so the next thing now, is there any questions from anyone?
No question.
No, so far so good.
Okay, awesome, awesome. Yeah, so yeah, that's all I wanted to share with you today. So I'm gonna have a look and see in terms of that mailbox, which is failing, to see why it's failing. Then we can actually test our case creation rule by sending an email to it. At the same time, the XRM toolbox will do a bit more exploration with it on our next session. There is our colleague earlier, I think. Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, Alex.
Yeah, sure, go ahead.
Okay. I have a question. It's about the case you started with, which is the testing.
Yeah, can you repeat that again?
There was a case you created at first, which is named it as testing.
Yep, which is in here. Let's go and pick up that case. Cases, and is this case here you mean, right? Yep.
Yes, please. First thing first is we didn't get to talk about this more. And secondly, in this case, when you entered it, I saw that we have another one, which is the matched case and child case. How did they come to action?
So in here, the merge case, right? You mean, right?
Yes, please.
So in this case in here, if we have a new case, and let's just go back a step, new case, and we're gonna name this test 2, and we're gonna make it for the same customer, this one here, and we're gonna save it. So now we have our 2 cases. So I can select this one here and merge the 2 of them into one. So in here, I can select the case that will be merged into. So I'm going to select this one here, and I'm going to select merge. So you're going to see what's going to happen here once I do this merging. So basically, when you do merging of records, whether it's case, account, or contacts, the process is an asynchronous process which takes place in the background. So in here, it's okay. We can now open a case. We only have one left in here. And then if we go into our details of our case relationships, we have the one which we merged, this one here, which was cancelled. If we need to have a child case, we can create it in here. So let's select create. And if you see here, it's opened the panel on the left-hand side in here. Again, it's given us a title already, testing, and we're gonna give this a name, a different one called testing 3. And the parent case already has been populated. It knows where we are. I can basically save and close without putting the other details because we don't need them. And then here we are, we now have our child cases. So this one is cancelled. If I open this case here, you'll see is read only, it's not active anymore. Because what was taking place here is now associated with this case here. If I go back to it a little bit more and go into case relationships, you see there's nothing which has been merged into this record. It will only show the record is been merged into, which is this association with this one here. If there's any knowledge or records associated with this case here, they will appear here. You cannot add them directly here. You have to have a knowledge-based article created, then link it to this specific case. I hope that helps.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Thanks.
Just a quick question, Alex.
Sure, please go ahead.
Yeah, so I just want to find out what resource or what book will you recommend, maybe for extra reading?
For extra reading,
yeah. So what was the specific book do you think would be more useful?
Give me 1 second. Is Deji still on the call?
Sorry, I am. Yeah. Any issues about another training anyway?
Okay, that's fine. I just wanted to ask a question before anything else. So, Deji, a question for you.
Hi, Alex. Yeah.
Yeah. So the question is, are we okay to give them
I was
a book?
practicing on it.
A book.
And everything was there.
So I have a
what
book.
What happened just recently, I think today or so, is this issue of unlicensed products
if
that
there is a
blocking
book they
everything.
can read. I have a book I can give them free of charge.
And
If
I
they
was
want to read it, which is this book.
No,
here,
I
the
think
digital
I
book.
did save it as document.
I'll show you
Yeah,
what it is.
send it to admin and then we'll share it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is the book. This is what's covered in this
the
book
practices. I have like about 4 of
so this one here is for Dynamics 365. I also have one for a functional consultant. I can share that as well if someone wants to learn from it.
Yeah, that would be great, Alex. Please.
Please do. Please do.
Please do.
So
can we see the back, please?
What's that?
Can we see the back cover for the book?
Of the book, right? This one here?
Oh, yeah, we've taken the second one for the functional consultant.
Okay, cool. Just give me 1 second. Let me just search.
I mean, it's just for extra read sometimes or something.
You can always use it on your learning journey through, like, to say, okay, this is what I need to learn.
Yeah.
200. This one here. So it's this book here. So it tells you a bit more about the functional consultant, what happens.
Oh boy.
So this
just
is
me.
this is the content of the book.
The book, okay.
Yeah.
Sorry,
So
can you go back to the back? I'm trying to
How much
to snap it.
What's up? Did someone ask how much is it? I'm not selling the book. I'm gifting it for free. I've purchased it, but I'm more than happy to share it. So
Thank
some
you
of
so much,
you
Alex.
looking at this book here, you can kind of see some of the things it covers, job roles, and some of the question types which comes with it. So yeah, this is the cover of the book. It is
Okay, then,
available
thank you.
on Amazon, those who want to pay, but
Okay.
I'm happy to share if anyone wants to have a look at it.
Can we see the
Thank
cover
you.
for the other one, please?
Yeah, this one here.
Okay, then. That's great.
Yeah, so yeah, there's quite
Thank you.
a few of these things available. So yeah, if you decide to push it a little bit more,
Yeah.
there's also others, which is something like this too.
Okay. Okay.
So this just doesn't cover Dynamics, it covers the whole cloud spectrum.
Okay.
If you are thinking of Dynamics, then it will be this one here.
The two there. Okay, then.
So if you're talking about Dynamics alone, this is the one you need to think about.
Okay. Okay.
Then for those of you who are Power BI gurus, this is the one you might want to think about. You're just downloading it, will pop up here. Just
Alex, you
download.
mind sharing the books, like if you don't mind?
If the admin approves, I'm more than happy. It's not an issue. So yeah, so for Power BI people, this is for you. For our Scrum colleagues, this is for you. So just depends exactly what you want to read, basically. But on that note, thank you so
Awesome.
much, everyone.
Thank you
Thank
very
you
much,
so much,
Alex.
Alex. This is really
Thanks
awesome.
so much,
Thank
Alex.
you.
Yeah, no problem. There's someone, I think they're called Chika. They're talking about the interview. Please do not forget to reach out and we can make a preparation.
Oh, thank you so much, Alex. I appreciate it.
No worries. Have a good evening, everyone. Take care.
Yes, thanks, Alex.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank
Bye.
you very much.
Thank
Thank you
you.
so
Have a
much.
safe journey,
Bye-bye.
everyone.